Hello, my name is Shadow, and today I'll be showcasing a couple stories written by an amazing author from Reddit, user SmoothBaritone. All stories I'm about to read are written by SmoothBaritone, and if you'd like to check SmoothBaritone out, I will link the Reddit account and all the stories in the description below. And without further ado, let's just jump into the readings. Our first writing prompt is, "You died, death is boring, a blank black nothing. After a while, boredom sets in. As a joke you shout, 'Let there be light.' And suddenly, there was light." Posted by user mdkubit. A flame wavered in the distance. Flimsy, sputtering, like one of those many disposable Zippos I purchased from the local Walmart. My light couldn't be any more pathetic. A little brighter would be nice. A second flame sputtered into life beside the first. Its flames flickered, nearly dying as if threatened by a light breeze. Whatever this place was, it was taunting me. "I need to see, goddammit!" My hands coiled around a plastic barrel, soldered together with another one of similar mass. My fingers traced its edges, flicking lightly over the cracked lens. A fat lot of good children's binoculars would do me in the relentless night. Very funny. When I was at Death's door, I expected him to answer. Now that I'm here, he greets me with an endless torrent of wishes half granted. "You let me in or what?" A door appeared. Its simple wooden frame was painted white. Ancient glyphs sprawled around the hand etched in crayon. "You're such a bastard." The crayon hand curled its fingers, all except the longest, a colorful beacon sending me a glorious fuck you. "Fine, I'll rot out here. See what I care." I turned away from the door, squatting down to run my hand over the ground, baby bottom smooth. It felt gross. Dad would have probably cracked a joke about how my bottom was never smooth, just crusty. Mom probably would have slapped him. "Dave!" she yelled, her laughter betrayed by the smirk on her face. I liked her when she smirked like that. It reminded me of better days. A glove flopped onto my shoulder. I waited, expecting another joke at my expense. But it just sat there, its cracked leather skin peeling away. Air rushed out of my nostrils. I don't care anymore. If this asshole won't let me in, then I'll just have to wait out here. I'm used to waiting. My whole life has been waiting. Waiting to be old enough to go to school. Waiting to be old enough to read and write. Waiting to graduate high school so I can move out and grow up. Waiting for love to find me or for me to find it. Waiting for my mom and my dad to split up and go on with being happy. Waiting for my dad to come back from the hospital. Waiting for him to open his eyes. The glove rubbed my shoulder. I held it tight, clinging to the small shred of comfort its decaying form provided me. Leave it to death to have a dying glove to comfort the newly deceased. "Can I please come in? I miss him so much." I turned, facing the door. The hand faded, replaced by a silent, crackling skull. "All you had to do was ask." The door opened, a rectangle of pure white. A smile spread across my face. I walked through the door, clutching the worn glove the entire way. Our next writing prompt is, "You were born to two D-list superheroes with powers so useless that they had to quit to have normal lives. The thing is that when they had you, their powers merged. This is the story of how you became the greatest superhero ever." Posted by user staryeyedthot. Shards of ice spun into the air, slicing open a myriad of tiny cuts that bled beads of crimson. Gale force winds accompanied them, buffeting my body and forcing me to use every ounce of my strength to keep my footing. Flashes of lightning pierced my vision. Thunderclaps shook me to my core, their conclusive force causing traverse motion in the earth. But I pressed on, steadfast in my desire to help. My parents were never heroes. Their powers were weak, useless in the face of villainy. My mother carried the power of intuition, bolstered further by the trusting nature. But it was my father's powers that were unique. He served briefly on the police force until I was born. His ability to transport anyone he touched into a pocket dimension was immensely useful, whisking innocence away from untimely ends. But it had a significant drawback. He was stuck there with his captive until the end of the connection. Communication was impossible. Without any other powers, his pocket dimensions were dismissed as situational, and he resigned from the force. A coating of ice formed at the bottom of my boots. Each step forward felt like taking 3 back. I pressed on, knowing that I only had 2 options: brave the storm or die. In kindergarten, my powers began to bloom. A red sound wailed through my mind. In response, I grabbed the nearest child, a young boy. His name was Manny, and he started to cry as the purple borders of our little bubble proved impenetrable. His brown curls shook with the force of his cries, but I knew what to say, and I reassured him until I discovered how to dissolve the dimension. Screams surrounded us. Children charred and dying, gurgled meaningless noise as they forced hot air through their scarred windpipes. We wretched as our nostrils were assailed by the smell of burning flesh. Smoke billowed around the ceiling, a black cloud that threatened to sink lower. Our heaves turned into coughs, and we managed to crawl out of the nearest exit. The police said it was a villain, El Diablo, or something of that sort, who had burned the place to the ground. They wrapped heavy blankets around our shoulder, heedless of our discomfort. Manny and I were separated, and I never saw him again. The plateau stood before me, a dais of solid ice that accompanied the center of the intersection. It rose above the traffic lights, steps winding in circular arcs around the perimeter. I was buffed further by the wind, but continued my slogging journey through the storm. Around me, bodies were flying. Land-bound heroes would ascend the platform rapidly, only to be thrown off by the platform by a concentrated blast of wind. Airborne heroes dodged and weaved, but were prevented by the coming closer by a torrent of icy spears that pierced the air. I took another careful step. My head poked above the edge of the dais. A blue cry wailed in my ear, and I ducked, narrowly avoiding an icicle that would have torn my head from my shoulders. No amount of intuition was going to fix that. I crawled over the ledge. Nothing. I eased forward along the ice, flat on my belly, inch by creeping inch. I crawled at the glacial pace, and I was rewarded by a black silence. My head poked up, and I spied my target. He was crouched over a small form, 4 legs canine, possibly a family dog. A mane of curly brown hair flowed from his head. A green sweater loosely covered a high school tee. His back contorted under the strength of his sobs, blue waves of the sound that demanded action. I stood approaching openly now. He swiveled, snarled at the crunch of my feet on the snow. I leaped to the left as he waved his hand. Spears of ice parted my hair. My heart pounded in my chest, but I still moved forward, crawling at the hands and the knees. He watched me, cautiously as any hunted animal. I'm beside him now. I peel off my gloves, holding a hand out to him. Suspicion, his eyes bleeded it. In addition to his tears, he bats my hand away. The pocket dimension surrounds us. Purple borders bend and bow, but refuse to break. The storm whips around us, scraping our skin with glassy shards. The boy gasped. "Amir?" he asked. "The very same," I say. He runs into my arms, clinging me desperately. Everything about his appearance is different, except for his brown curls. They still shake when he cries. "It's all right now," I say. "I got you." I draw him even closer, patting his head softly. With each pat, his sobs soften, and his cry becomes that of a grieving young man. I draw him closer still, into an embrace that warms his frozen heart. That's all I have for you today. If you like more, please subscribe and comment any suggestions down below. And with that, I will see you all in the next reading. Thank you.